right. It is my absolute privilege to bring to the stage at this time, Kellan, Lutz, and Peter Facinelli!
What is going on, GalaxyCon Columbus? How are you guys?
Ohio!
Ohio. This is my first time here. We've been doing some conventions throughout this last year and then going into 2025. But Columbus has been on my list, and now we're here. So it's not disappointing. We love you guys. Thanks for coming out. And let's have some fun questions.
Yes, let's do it. You said Columbus has been on your list. Has anyone recommended must-see or must-do things this weekend?
Pierogi.
Pierogi?
That's what I keep hearing.
What is pierogi?
I don't know. I got off
What
the
is
plane and they were
pierogi?
like,
Yeah. What is it?
They said
Polish?
Ohio's known for pierogies. I was like, okay. I had to look it up. Is that true? You guys have? It's like it's a food, pierogi.
Yeah. Sounds delicious.
Is that true, pierogies? Is that, yeah?
All I heard was pierogies are like plastic, and how is that food? What is a pierogi?
It's a Polish
Is it like a
dish.
sandwich or?
A Polish ravioli?
Yeah.
Delicious.
Oh. Okay.
I don't know. They said check it out.
Cool.
They lie to me? I don't know.
Oh, we're Googling. Okay.
I have to see it too. Let me see. I mean,
So it's Polish dumplings, it looks like. That looks delicious. Wow.
have you guys had pierogies? Okay. So you recommend pierogies?
Thank you
yes?
very much.
This is great. I love how like your characters like don't eat human food in the movies, and now that's all we're talking about is human food. So this is going great.
If Kellan had to do it over again instead of eggs, he would have walked in with a bag of pierogies.
Pierogies. Yes.
Yeah, if you could change one thing, it would be the pierogies, of course.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's so good to see you guys. Let's just jump right into it. Out of curiosity, I would say everybody in the family had such great chemistry. Was there a favorite scene that you guys filmed together as a family?
We had a lot of scenes together. I mean, most of our scenes were together as a family. I mean, the baseball one sticks out for me because it was our first. The baseball one was our first like day of filming, first day. So it'll always stick out in my mind because it was a disaster, a literal disaster. Because we practiced for like a week and we practiced indoors because it was raining a lot, and it was fun. Like, do you remember the indoor baseball like when we were training?
I don't think I was there yet.
You weren't there yet.
I came like
You came a little later.
day one of shooting.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but we were all having a blast before he came. So we were practicing, and then everybody was excited for the first day. And on film, if it rains really hard, you see it. If it rains lightly, you don't see it. But you see it, people's faces, like all of a sudden makeup starts running and like their hair starts getting wet. So that's what was happening. It wasn't raining hard enough to show up on camera, but everybody's like faces were just melting, you know. So we look at Elizabeth Reeser looked at me and was like, "You look terrible." I was like, "Yeah, I know, you look terrible." So it was like an hour or two of like shooting in the rain, and our hair was all matted and wet. And then Catherine, the director, said, you know, we were all huddled in this little shack in the woods because we took a break, and they said, "What do you want to go to another set?" Because it's raining, and when you're directing, because I've directed, to get everybody in vans and move all the gear, you lose a whole like half a day. And so she said, "No, just." She goes, "Just put hats on people. You wear hat, no hat, no hat, hat." And so I was like, "Oh my God, this is like an Ed Wood set. We just shot like 3 hours with no hats, and now we have hats. How's that gonna cut together?" So we were laughing that night when we went home. We're like, "This is gonna be terrible. You know, no one's gonna see this movie. Thank God." And then it turned out she was just a genius, and that scene is the most iconic scene. And when I saw it, I was like, wow, who knew? So what's the lesson in life is just sometimes you just have to let it go, let the universe take over, and trust.
Now, question for you:
Yeah.
Did they have those hats made already? Like, because we have C's on them. And,
Yeah, I think they had them, and
I guess wardrobes.
yeah, they must have
They're
had them in the
great. They're
wardrobe
like,
truck.
just in case.
Yeah.
Baseball hats.
Yeah, they were like, "Do you want hats? No hats." And then all of a sudden, when it was raining, they were like, hats.
So-
but it was just funny because I just remember that moment. She was like panic in her eyes. She was like, hats, hat, no hat.
Do you notice that in the movie? Like, if you watch it.
No, because what
was
she
the
did was
cut
she
just so-
she just scrapped the first 2
Oh,
hours, you know,
gotcha.
which was smart because if she would have moved everybody in a van and gotten everybody to
Yeah.
another location, you would have lost half a day. So in her mind, she was like, okay, well, we'll just scrap those 2 hours, and we'll start now.
Remember we would do a rain dance as well?
Oh, yeah.
So she
so
wanted.
then the next day, it was sunny. And so.
It's not good for Cullens.
That's not good for the Cullens. So it had to be like the perfect amount of just cloudy, not raining, but not sunny. And so she would come and she'd be like, all right, it's too sunny. Everybody just do a little cloud dance. don't dance too hard because we don't need rain, just clouds. And it worked.
It worked.
Do you remember any of this rain dance?
No. I do remember when we were, Catherine was so fantastic, and so to get us into the characters, she was like, your characters are vampires are very feline-esque. Like, we want you to, like, move like, felines. There's dogs, the werewolves are dogs. You guys are felines. So we had cat classes. She had a movement teacher come in. And
Do you remember any of that?
Yeah, I remember. Oh, you weren't there yet, because, like, you came, like, last minute. And he just rolled up on set with eggs.
Hey, guys, I'm ready.
But we had these, like, it was like a class where we were all slinking around on, like meowing.
Jackson did the best.
Jackson.
I remember asking him to show me.
He
Ashley.
He used the litter box in the corner, and we were like, and ever since then we've
Came with fleas. It was great.
Yeah. Any like tips or tricks you can give us for a cat class? Like anything we need to know?
It's everything you can imagine.
Wow. How
you
lovely.
Can just imagine all the Cullens just on our floors, just purring and. Ball of yarn.
Aww.
I thought so. So I came. I was one of the last cast because there was an actor who had my role, and then it just didn't work out.
And Kellan killed him.
I want Emmett. Yeah. But then I auditioned with Catherine when they were doing their baseball training.
Did you fly up to set?
Flew in. I auditioned. I flew up because they said, hey, they want to fly you up to meet with Catherine. She's up there already. I'm like, yeah, cool. So I fly up there and meet Catherine.
Did they fly any other actors up to?
No, because it was down to myself and another actor. Mm-hmm. And Catherine had the 2 headshots in the group. You were maybe in the van. And she's like, hey, does anyone know these actors? Yeah. And Ashley's like, oh my God, Kellan, you'd love him. And she's like, okay. So because Ashley petitioned and was so excited for me, they didn't fly the other actor up. They're like, all right, well, if Kellan's easy to work with and Ashley loves him, like, why not have a friendly work environment? So flew me up. And so Catherine was wild. She's a really great director. And then she's like, oh yeah, meet in Catherine's hotel room. I'm like, uh-oh. What's gonna happen here? And so I go there.
Spraying cologne.
Catherine, I'm like, what is she like? What is she like? And I go in, great, we audition. Emmett doesn't have many lines. I think I had like 4 lines for the audition. And then she's like, okay, and let me see how you act like a cat. And I'm like, is this a test? She's like, no, we're putting everyone in like feline cat classes. And I was like, okay, I think she's messing with me. So I was like, you know what? I don't think Emmett is a cat. I think he's more a bear. So I think Emmett would just stand there and be protective. And she's like, oh, I like that. And I was like, I think I just saved myself. Come to think, I like meet up with everyone, and they're like, how'd your cat class go? And I was like, it did not go. It was just fun.
I love it so much. What was your guys' experience like working with the CGI elements, or like the werewolves and the enhanced vampire abilities?
I was literally just telling a fan that, I don't know if they're there, but she had this little stuffed animal pig, and I had this flashback of doing Eclipse, because there was a scene in front of the house where the werewolves come and they start attacking us, and so what they did was, we didn't have real werewolves, so they had these potato sacks filled with like stuffing, and the people off camera would throw them at us, and we were like, and then you're just kind of on the ground like fighting with a potato sack. And so, a lot of us were laughing, and they were getting mad because they were like, we got to film this scene, you got to stop laughing. But it's hard to fight with a potato sack full of stuffing. The trick is you have to commit 120%. If you don't, then it looks silly. But if you just pretend and just really, 120% commit that this thing is a werewolf and not a potato sack, then but yeah, it's harder to do those scenes with the green screen because it requires more imagination. Like when you're doing a scene and you're in the house and you have elements that feel like real, then you buy into that world, and then you're just reacting. But when you're doing green screen and you're having to use your imagination, you're just like, look at this spot, and this spot is like, a B-12 bomber coming at you, firing. It's like it's more work to use your imagination that way.
A little story going off of that. So I would have to do. You say you have to act 120. I'd have to tone it down to about 75 because some of the werewolves in my fighting scenes were cardboard. So I would go in action-packed, like wrestling this cardboard cutout little thing, and I'd break it. I'd crush it. They're like, Kellan, you can't do that. We need the size. I'm like, make it stronger, So it's funny how we had these bean sacks that they would just throw at you. And again, I just thought the whole thing, I felt like people were just messing with me because I was late to the game. So like they'd throw it at you and I'd be like, what are you doing? It's like, he's supposed to tackle you. I'm like, what is this gonna do? But I didn't realize they green screen. I wish they showed us beforehand, like this is what it would look like.
Yeah. It's hard. It's harder to do the green screen.
Yeah.
But fun.
Yeah.
It's always fun to see what it looks like after.
Yeah. Yeah. What was that like getting to actually experience it in a theater or during a premiere, watching it
we'd always
together?
get to see them at the premieres, and it was always fun because it was like a packed stadium, and people were so excited. And I do remember going to the first Twilight premiere, and that was a little terrifying because it was, people camped out for days, and there was lines and lots of fans, and I thought, wow, this is really exciting, but they haven't seen the movie yet. So if they don't like it, this happy crowd's going to turn into like people with pitchforks running us out of town. So it was so nerve-wracking because I was like, I hope they like it.
Yeah.
And
Clearly
they
we
did.
did. Yeah. Before we get to questions from y'all, if you guys want to start lining up, please be my guest. I wanted to ask you guys, obviously, being at these conventions, sometimes we're blessed with multiple vampire franchises. Obviously, we have you guys this weekend. We also have Kiefer Sutherland from The Lost Boys. What is
They
it
found
like?
him?
Yeah, I think he's somehow.
He's lost
Found
forever.
boys?
Yes, we got him. Are you guys like, is there like a showdown or do you guys get along? What is it
I
like?
think we all get along. I'll tell you a funny story. There was, when we were doing the second Twilight New Moon, we were in Vancouver, and there was some actors staying at the hotel, and they were shooting a pilot for a little show called The Vampire Diaries. And so, if you can imagine back then, like Twilight had come out, it was really successful, and then these actors were like, wow, we love Twilight, and we're doing this little TV series that we hope it gets picked up. We don't know. And I was like, yeah, good luck with that. But we were all kind of hanging out, and then it turns out that their franchises blew up, went 10 years and exploded. So I was so happy for them. And it was so fun to be there for that moment where they just didn't know if they were going to go or not, and anyway, and now Ian's married to Nikki, so we all kind of one big happy family. Family? Vampire family?
We'll workshop it. Yeah. So
Family. I like family. How about that? Vampily or family? Vampily? Okay.
Okay, amazing. All right.
Pierogies or Varogies?
All right, let's start with you, my friend. What's your name?
My name's Allie. I am a school teacher, and one thing I have a problem with is getting kids to cooperate and be a team. So you guys were just meeting each other, especially Kellan coming onto the scene. If it wasn't baseball, what other team or what other sport would you guys want it to have been?
Ping pong. I don't know.
Pick a ball. Let's do it, guys.
Bowling. Cullen bowling. Didn't have the
that
same.
would've been fun,
Didn't have the
like,
same
maybe-
range. We would have just destroyed the pins every time.
Rogue bowling ball flying off and hitting Jacob, whatever.
Yeah, I think baseball was the perfect one. Yeah. And not too violent, but you could still hit a stick with a ball, kind of run around, and had the field. It was good. It was a good call.
Yeah. I am thinking about those bowling outfits, what that would have looked like with you guys too. Like, yeah, that'd be fun. Hey, what's your name?
I'm Julia. I was just curious, do you remember the first time you were ever recognized and how that made you feel?
I didn't know that's what was happening. I'm a little Midwest boy where people would say like this. Thank God for Peter. I had people come to our hotel room, been like, "Hey, Kellan," and they brought me gifts. I thought they worked at the hotel. So these Twi moms, before I knew they were Twi moms, they came knocking on the door. I let them in, you know. They had.
Kellan was like, I'm going to a movie with this fan. With
Well, I didn't know it was a
three
fan. I was
fans
just
and,
like,
which is really lovely, but also kind of dangerous. So I was like, yeah, you can't do
he's like,
that.
Helen, let me tell you how this world works.
Get really, really dangerous.
But they brought beef jerky and cookies and, you know, so we had a great conversation.
I was like, don't get in the white van. Don't get in the white van.
But yeah, he's like, hey, just, you know, this is what's happening. I'm like, oh. But it's cool. The fans have been really, really great. And we had this other one where this Twi mom came to set. I thought she worked there. I think there's a photo with Nikki and I. And she gave us her baby. And I was like, oh, she's a producer. She's like, hey, will you hold my baby? We're like, yeah, of course. Gone. Hours, they're calling us to set. We're like, guys, we have a baby. We can't just we got to find this mom.
I didn't even know this story.
Yeah.
How old are you? You guys still have it?
We got hungry, but no, it was great. We found the mom, and she found us again.
Wow. Did they name it Renesmee? No.
Her name was Bella.
Carlisle, Charlie, Carlisle. What's the Carlisle, Charlie? What's it, Carly? Carly, Charlie, Carly, Carlisle. I had a fan say, I love your character, Carlizzle. I said, for shizzle, I love Carlizzle too. Maybe we're all pronouncing it wrong. Carlizzle would have been way more fun, right? This is his rapper name, Carlizzle. DJ Carlizzle. Da, da, da.
What were you first recognized for?
Oh man, I mean it's been so long, but I remember. I'll tell you. But with Twilight, because I've been working like a decade before, but with Twilight, when I got cast, it was just an underground following of a book, you know. As a matter of fact, my agents called me and said, "Do you want to do a vampire movie?" And I said no, because I thought it was, at that time they were making a lot of cheesy vampire movies, so. I was thinking it was going to be a B, bad vampire movie. And I hadn't read the script or anything. And they said, well, it's based on a book. It has a small underground, following. And they said, Catherine's directing it, Hardwick. And I said, oh, I love her. I said, yeah, I'd love to, meet. I'd love to read for it or meet her. They said, oh, well, the audition's tomorrow. And I said, oh, okay. I said, well, do you have a script? They said, no. I said, well, do you have is the book out? And they said, yeah. So I went and got the book, and I read it that night. And then I went in and read for it the next morning. But when the movies came out, after we shot, I went to Hawaii with my family for a vacation. And I was walking down the beach, and everybody on the beach was reading Twilight. It was so weird. I was like, that's weird. And they're reading it, and they're reading it. And that's when it started hitting me oh my God, this is not an underground following anymore. A lot of people are reading this book. And so I went, there was this little deck where you could lay out on a deck in the, when you swim out to the little deck in an ocean, but it's not, it's like a bay, you know? What do you call those little decks?
Is it a sandbar?
It's like a sun deck or whatever, you know? And so I swam out there, and I was by myself out there. And then these two teenage girls swam out there. They go, hey, are you playing Carlisle? And the movie hadn't come out yet. And I was like, how do you know that? That's so weird. And they're like, yeah, we read about it on the internet. And that's when I started going, maybe this, might be something. And
They said Carlisle and not Carlizzle,
Yeah,
just to
Carlisle.
make sure. Okay, yeah.
So that was the first time with Twilight that I remember before the movie even came out being like, oh, there's fans of this. Yeah.
That is so crazy. Awesome. Thank you for your question. Hey, what's your name?
Hi, my name's Maya, and my question is surrounding stunts. I know you guys did a lot of practical stunts, at least in the first movie, or maybe I'm getting it mixed up, where you were tied on those strings. What was that called, and what was that like for you guys, and how did the stunts change over time?
Yeah, it's just harnesses. You're on pulley strings, so when you're doing, especially in the ballet scene, people are flying around, or when Edward's character flies, or when you're leaving the house, you trust the stunt guys. So if you're afraid of heights, try not to be. They really have checks and balances. So when you're wearing the harness, some of the weird stunts that we would try, and you do this. I've done a lot of action movies because I like doing stunts. It's fun.
It's fun to do stunts.
But even us figuring out how to be fast, right? Your vampiric speed. When you're in the woods chasing a deer, how do we make it? You could ramp up the film. They decided to have a truck pull us on treadmills, so a lot of the actors were running, but due to safety, you have to be harnessed in. So you're kind of running just with your feet, and then you're getting pulled by a truck. So it
Yeah,
looks
if you
really
can imagine
funny.
like a treadmill strapped to a flatbed, and being pulled on this flatbed, and you're running on the treadmill while you're going 40
you want your
miles
legs
an hour,
yeah.
and you're strapped in, but it's kind of terrifying.
And it wasn't the flat. It's not like there was a road. We were in the woods that they just kind of cleared. So it's like, you'll watch it. There's some funny memes on social media.
Yeah, if you can look it up. There's behind the scenes. But those are the days like when you weren't on set, and they'd be like, "Hey, you have to do your running today." I'd be like, "Oh my god," because you have to do it like 2 hours of just like running. You're on this treadmill going as fast as you can. So you get winded.
Yeah.
Getting your steps in.
Yeah,
There
you
you go.
get your steps in that day. I remember doing a movie once with James Spader. It was one of my first movies. It was called Supernova. And I love, stunts too, because you get so excited and like there's an adrenaline rush. But there are professional people that actually should be doing it. You know what I mean? Because they're trained for it. But I was like young, 20. I was like 21, and I said I want to do all my own stuff. I didn't know better, and so I would go and I would be fighting his stuntman, and I would come out all bruised. I still have a scar on my arm here from it, and like I'd be walking back to my trailer like exhausted, kind of beat up, and I remember James Spader sitting on a trailer steps, and he was smoking a cigarette and reading a book, and he looked up to me and he goes, "You'll learn." And he was right, because like I have neck issues. I gave myself whiplash on 2 movies. Like it's too committed, I think.
And I can only assume he was reading Twilight at the time.
Probably
Yeah,
was.
it's crazy.
He probably was.
Thank you.
Hey,
Hi,
what's your name?
Ashley. And my question is, I don't know if you two are aware yet, but Netflix is making an animated series of Midnight Sun.
Calling my agent right now.
It was actually announced on my birthday.
Amazing.
I'm not sure how I feel about it, so I'm wondering, do you guys have any feelings about that? Or have either of you even read Midnight Sun?
Oh yeah, Midnight Sun's awesome. I wish we could make the movie, and we both saw that, and we were both like, dude, can we do the voices of this?
Yeah.
We would love to.
That would be so much fun to do. I hope they ask us to do the voices, because I want to revisit that character.
Yeah,
It'd be
me
so
too.
fun to revisit.
Especially from Edward's point of view. What does HHS stand for?
Oh, Hawkins High School, Stranger Things.
Oh,
yeah.
because I went to Horizon High School, so I'm like, and we were green and gold as well, which is really funny. So I was like, is that? Did we? I played football.
No.
No, but it's cool. I love that show too.
Awesome, thank you. Hey.
Hi, I'm also Ashley. I'm curious, at what point after you signed on to do the movies, you found out that Jacob's character was going to imprint on the infant Renesmee? And what was the reaction on set and among the cast when you learned that would happen?
We deny that.
We don't like to talk about
it.
it.
Yeah, we don't.
It's still a little weird.
Did
But
that
people are like, well, I'm
happen?
Team Jacob. I'm like, do you know? That's weird. But it's also weird.
Cops know that.
It's also, look, the imprinting is weird, but it's also weird that this 100-year-old is in love with a 17-year-old. It's like, that's a little creepy too, so, I don't know. Pick your poison there, I don't know.
Cool. Thank you so much. Hey, what's your name?
Hi, I'm Raven from Teen Titans. So, in Breaking Dawn, Emmett famously gets defeated by Bella when she becomes a vampire. If the whole cast were to have a tournament of arm wrestling, who would win, who would give up, and who would play dirty?
Kellan would win for sure.
I let her win because I read the Twilight books, so I fought Catherine on that for a bit. But no, it's one of my favorite scenes. But it's funny. Everyone else talks about their cool powers. I'm like, yeah, my power's strength. They're like, no, you don't have powers. I'm like, what? They're like, you're just a vampire. You're strong. I'm like, but I have strength. I'm like Colossus. They're like, no. I think that's my strength. So I'd win.
He'd
I'd
win. Carlisle's gift is compassion, so I would let you win.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
I always
learned
joke
that from Dad.
That we got the short end of the stick is like, you can't smite people with compassion. Stay away from my family. I will use my compassion against you. But yeah, I love that character. So I think he would win. And I don't know, character-wise or real life-wise.
Like actors, like you.
Like me, I would cheat. I'd be like, look over there. And what was the third one?
Who would give up? like refuse to participate?
Rob wouldn't care. Yeah.
Rob, be like,
Oh, stupid,
Nah,
stupid.
Thank you. Hey.
Hi, I'm Maddie. So my question is, you talked about how doing especially like the stunts and stuff, it would get really exhausting. How did you keep yourself motivated and like keep yourself healthy and rested on set? Because I know it takes months to make movies. How did you like help your body recover from all that?
A lot of times,
You eat a lot of
eggs, yes. A lot of times it's a lifestyle. You learn as an actor. There's a lot of temptation. There's craft service. There's a lot of food. There's a lot of chips. When I did FBI Most Wanted in New York, it is cold. It got to be 6 degrees at nights. So they're making soups. They're making carbs, and you eat a lot of warm feeling food, especially when you live somewhere where there's seasons. But if you have a lifestyle, and this goes for life itself, right? Your body's a temple. You want to take care of it. It helps you, especially when days go into night shoots. You need that energy, and you can. I used to love candy. It used to be give me some candy. It'll give me a lot of energy. But when you're eating really clean and healthy, your body enjoys that. You get better sleep. You wake up better. So it's just what kind of lifestyle you have, and you create systems. So for myself, I haven't started counting macros because I go through seasons where I'm weightlifting and training, and so it's really nice just to know what fuels your body and having that education of, okay, carbs are good after a workout when you're eating proteins, and that delivers that sort of muscle energy. It's like fuel for a car. So it's just learning, right? And listening to your body. There's some stuff I love that I shouldn't eat because my body shuts down. And so the energy for that, especially the long days, doing stunt work, because I love a good workout. When you're doing stunts, it's like playing basketball, right? You're sweaty at the end of it, but you feel like you just had the best workout, and it was fun. Hopefully it was a lot of fun, especially when you have fight scenes. I do a lot of those. It's like a ballet. It's a dance move because there's choreography. And then, it's just a lot of fun, but the lifestyle helps a lot. And there's been movies where I just ate like crap, and you feel it, and then you don't realize how much food can mess up with your brain, too, the chemicals in it. And I'd forget my lines. I'm like, this is weird. What is going on here? And then the next day, you eat eggs, and you're an all-star.
It is hard because when we work, we're working like 12, 14 hours. And so to have that discipline is difficult. A lot of times, I wasn't that disciplined, so I would just ride off adrenaline, Sometimes you're getting 4 or 5 hours sleep, and you're just like, okay, you got to do it. You just got to, it's the just do it kind of mentality. But it catches up to you. So having that discipline helps. And we used to, and there was a couple times we would go to the gym together, It was nice to have Kellan, because like, I'm more of the just like, I'll just ride the adrenaline wave, but I would tack onto his train and be like, okay, let's go to the gym, let's do yoga and start eating right. So that was helpful, having somebody to do it with. But yeah, it's I'll tell you an example of being on set. So you get to work and you spend 2 hours in the makeup chair and you look great, right? And your makeup's perfect, and they say, okay, we're gonna start shooting your scene, rehearsal like 30 minutes, 40 minutes. You can go to your trailer and relax. Great. And you sit there and you're sitting by the door like a horse, at the gate. You got your lines and you're ready, listen to music, preparing, and a half hour goes by and nothing. And then another hour goes by, nothing. And then you hear some footsteps and on the gravel outside, and you hear, oh, they're coming. No, they knock on somebody else's door. Oh, okay. You wait another hour, and you're still waiting, and you start to dip a little bit, your energy, and then they knock on your door. You're like, okay, I'm ready. That's lunch. Because when you're shooting, like they're shooting so many pieces that, sometimes they need you, they never really know. Sometimes when you're shooting a cast like ours and they got so many different actors, it's hard to know. And then after lunch, they'll be like, okay, we're definitely going to use you in 20 minutes. And then another hour goes by. And then
you have to go through the works again, so you get all done
through and get your hair and makeup done again. And then eventually you fall asleep, your hair is all matted, you got drool on your face, your makeup's on the pillow, and then they knock on the door. Huh, okay, we got to go right now, the sun's going down, everybody's waiting on you, and you just got to run to set, and you're full of adrenaline, and you're like, okay, and they just, with the makeup and hair, and you go. So you kind of got to have your energy at all times. That's the hardest part, I think, is like, there's a saying that we don't get paid to act, we get paid to wait, you know, because like we're waiting, but you have to be ready because there's no moment when you're on camera, it's forever, no pun intended. So like you have to, you know, do whatever it takes to be ready for those moments between action and cut. You know?
And you learn a lot because it's, even in life, when you're bored, when I'm bored, I eat. And it's, when you have kids, there's a lot of good kid food. And my son's like, snack, meat stick, you know, this thing. And I'm like, oh man, graham crackers? Oh, that's great. But on set, I prefer, yeah, it's different seasons, right? Like when you have a lot of stuff going on, I want to be in my trailer so I can FaceTime my wife. On Twilight, we had our contacts in. And mine, were you good at taking your contacts in and out?
I always say this, like, I had worn contacts on and off, you know, for like if I have to, you know, read a teleprompter or something. Kellan hated the contacts. So I always remember in the first one, we didn't have like a technician to like put contacts in and out, so it was the makeup person. But I do remember me and Jackson literally holding him down, Kellan down, and he'd be like, it was like putting eye drops in someone's eyes, and I can't do it. And we'd literally be like, you can do it, you can do it. It was so hard for him. He had to do it every day.
But you can't sleep then because you have the contacts in. So a lot of times
you take them out at night. Oh, you mean?
But I couldn't take it out.
You
so
did
I'm
take
just
them out
sitting
at
there.
night. But during the day, yeah, you're right.
But during the day, and then then you're just bored. If you have time, right? They'll be like, hey, we aren't getting to you till after lunch. Then you take a nap if you can. Jackson and Rob would bring their guitars, so I loved that.
We had a concert.
Yeah,
we
we
just have
did
them
a
play
lot.
for us.
Kristen would play her trumpet. I played the trombone.
I had
never
my
brought
accordion.
But it was nice. But you find stuff like I got into reading, so I read a lot of books, or I just loved being on set, hanging out with a lot of the crew. And they would build you little workout things because you could lift sandbags. But the weird thing about Twilight was they didn't want you on set because they didn't want, I don't know, just less things getting out when there was like such tight-lipped secrets. So it was interesting. But we would all hang out and we grew so tightly. And then when you had the paparazzi out there, it was weird because you didn't want to leave the hotel or leave your apartment, because you knew you were going to get photographed. I think there was, we would start messing with them and hold hands outside of the airport and new love romance.
Shipping
Peter.
Kellan and Peter.
But sometimes
there was one night, because it was when we did Twilight, like we would go to open night mic and like Rob would play and there would be nobody there, you know what I mean? It was kind of lovely to have that,
special.
you know,
It was really
special moment where it was just us. And then after Twilight, like we couldn't go anywhere, which was a blessing, and you know, but also like hard. So again, we would kind of sit in the hotel rooms because we couldn't go out to dinners and stuff. But we found this camaraderie of like hanging out together. And I remember one night Kellan brought the Twilight board game, and we all played the Twilight board game. And Ashley won because she cheated. She used her future kind of gifts. I thought I would win because I was like, as the head of the family, I made it my job to know everybody's stuff. So they'd be like, hey, what time of day did you bite me? I was like, 9:32 a.m. and it was raining. It was, and it was, the year was 1940. So I knew everybody's backstories, and so I was like, I'm gonna win this. But I didn't know anything about the high school kids because I wasn't in that part. So I kept getting stumped on the high school kids. I didn't.
Aw, you're just so compassionate.
Yeah.
So good. So we have about 5 minutes left, so let's try to get through a couple more questions.
We're going off on tangents
No,
here.
the tangents are great.
Just yes or no questions from this point on.
You're great. Hey, what's your name?
Hi, I'm May. My question is related to food as well. What is your guys' favorite or comfort breakfast foods?
Breakfast? I like a good bacon and eggs breakfast.
My wife makes this like, I think it's focaccia.
Pierogies.
Pierogi, focaccia, avocado little sandwich thing, like smash. It's really good. Then she, I love steak and eggs. So it's just like a good steak and eggs, meaty.
This panel's making me so hungry. This is like not even fair. Thank you so much. Hey, what's your name?
My name is Hermione. I was just wondering, a quick question. What was your favorite part about like playing your character? Just like a short answer.
Thank you so much for that question. I just love the comedic relief. I like playing that character. I like playing the big brother who protects the family. And even with the small amount of lines, making it stand out was really fun. So you get to see, you can, it's weird when you have something so like the lines are small and they aren't big scenes, but they're big and they're important to the movie. You have a lot of fun doing it, and when you step in, and after doing 5 movies with our characters, we know our characters, so it's really fun just to like say the lines and know it's a funny line. And Emmett had a lot of those, and then you watch it like, oh great, that worked, right? It's funny, especially in the premieres. And I just went to a live orchestra one in London. Ashley and I snuck in. There was like 1,000 fans, and the orchestra plays the first movie. When you watch a movie theaters are so important to go to. I've watched Twilight a million times because it's on the TV. It's not the same as watching it with the audience, with a full theater, especially the first time, when people are like just laughing and being like, oh my God, you know, when Rob's like convulsing from wanting to throw up. And it's just so campy and funny, but it's hilarious when we're walking into the cafeteria and everyone's like, whoa, you're like, man, this is cool. This is really cool.
Yeah, what was the question?
Your favorite thing about your So basically, what was your favorite part about like
The character.
playing your character?
You know, so many. For me, it was like the groundedness of being the head of the family, that he chose this family. A lot of times in life, you have your family, and then there's people that you choose to be part of your family. I always love that. There's this movie, there has a beautiful love story in it, but there's also, a story about family and people being there for each other and protecting each other that I always gravitated towards and loved too. So being the head of that was always, I always felt really special playing that part. And then the fan interactions, like just, to be part of a movie that has this worldwide, appeal, and I've been in all these different countries, and people have seen it and really love it and connect to those characters. That's really special to have that, to be a part of that.
All right, we have time for one more question, and then we're going to take a big group picture with everybody, if that's okay with you guys. Cool. All right, our final question. What's your name?
My question is, what was your person to hang out with on the set?
Our favorite person?
Kellan.
No, it was really cool having Peter because he's so successful. And having an actor, I remember my first movie I worked with Jeff Bridges, and I'm someone who just goes after wisdom, right? When there's elders, ask them, like, hey, what life lessons have you learned? I have a lot of older brothers as well that I learned what not to do, right? Because they got into a lot of trouble, and I got to partake that wisdom onto my younger brothers. But working with actors, especially in an industry that I kind of fell into, and I didn't always have the dream to become an actor or do theater school, working with, especially Peter, doing so many movies, I knew I wanted to get married one day. I knew I wanted to have kids. And he was in a season of life that I could really go to him and be like, hey, question about this, question about that, and he always gave me wise counsel. So it was really, really cool. And then we'd lift, and he'd be like, hey, how do I work out my biceps?
Yeah, we kind of inspired each other, and I have such a love for the cast, and I remember, they were kids because I had a family, I had kids already, and I remember Jackson going, I want that, I want 3 kids, and then he had it, and then you had it, and it was so beautiful to see, you guys, to know you before family, to see you guys grow through that, and now you have a beautiful family, and to see how you dealt with the overnight success. Like, I had a whole 10-year career before, so I had stuff that was successful, stuff that, you have lulls, you have ups and downs, but you guys were thrown into it, right away, and it must have been really terrifying and scary at the same time as exciting.
Well, that's why I love, even with the fans, you're like, hey, don't let people in your hotel room because it can be, weird. You could get sued, honestly. That's what he said. He's like, hey, protect yourself. Yeah. But then even with fandom, because he's been in some really great stuff prior to Twilight and how to handle paparazzi and just fame, so it's really nice to have someone who's...
Yeah, the trick with paparazzi I found is because what you guys don't see is you come out and you're going with your family, and then they'll jump out of a bush, and you're like, ah, and then they're taking all these pictures, and your instinct is to be like, leave me alone and just stop. But then the picture, you look angry, and you look pissed off. And
You are pissed off.
And they'll write something like, he's having a bad day with his family. And I'm like, I wasn't until you jumped out
Are they
of the
gonna get a
bushes."
divorce?
Yeah. So I like the trick is like when they jump out of the bushes, smile like you're having the best time ever, because then you just have a happy picture out there, and like and then they'll go away, you know. So like you learn that over time how to deal with them, because you could either get pissed off and they use it against you, or you just like hi, give them a couple of pictures, smile, and you move on, you know.
Well, we do have a photographer. He's not going to jump out of a bush. So we'll make sure we're all smiling. Thank you guys so much.
you
This
guys.
has been so much fun. Your questions were amazing. Any questions we didn't get to, make sure to go visit them at the table. We're going to take a big group picture. You guys can come towards the stage, just not on the stage. And we're going to bring in our photographer.